Good evening and welcome to UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon Kyomugisha, and Namiyomba Dorothy on sign language. We'll take a look at our top stories tonight. Coming up, Tabla and Luja sentenced to death over Ndiga clan head's murder. Uganda Law Society raises concerns over human rights and access to justice. Government on spot over delays in rural electrification projects. Bank of Uganda maintains central bank rate at 9.75%. Good evening once again. Today, President Sharon Museveni has pledged to rally regional leaders to strengthen the Eastern African Standby Force. The President made the commitment during a meeting with EASF Director Brigadier Ronald Rivanga at State House in Entebbe. Brigadier General Rivanga briefed President Museveni on the activities of the regional standby force and appealed for his support in mobilizing heads of state and government to renew political and financial commitment to the organization. He also asked the President to encourage Djibouti, Comoros and Sudan to fully participate in the force and to support the convening of an EASF summit, which has not been held since 2014. President Museveni pledged to engage fellow regional leaders and support efforts to strengthen the force's financing, rapid deployment, humanitarian assistance and rescue capabilities. The meeting comes as the 36th Ordinary Policy Organs meeting of the EASF that is underway in Kampala, bringing together senior officials from member states to discuss the force's operational readiness and regional security cooperation. Brigadier General Rivanga also briefed the President on a recent verification exercise assessing Uganda's military, police and civilian capabilities pledged to the standby force. In more stories tonight, the first Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of East African Affairs, Rebecca Kadaga, has called on members of Parliament to support the Food and Nutrition Bill and ensure that it is passed into law. Kadaga says that the legislation will strengthen efforts to improve access to nutritious food, particularly for school children whose physical growth, brain development and academic performance depend greatly on proper nutrition.
I think that when the bills come together, you make sure that you use your numbers to get what you want in the bill. Because you can do it. You can do it and support a certain position which you think is going to be.
She made the remarks during a conference organized by the Parliamentary Forum on Food and Nutrition to orient members of the 12th Parliament on the importance of food and nutrition. Kadaga urged members of Parliament and other stakeholders to make nutrition a national priority, saying investing in well-nourished children is critical to producing a healthy and productive generation of future leaders.
Undernutrition, you have stunting, wasting, etc. Then you have obesity. Some children are now obese. That is also a problem. So when you take into account all those. So again, with using our local governments, I wish again that our structures could deal with the issues of food.
She called on legislators to work together to ensure that Food and Nutrition Bill is passed, urging that a strong legal framework will help coordinate government efforts to address malnutrition and improve food security. The State Minister for Primary Education, Phyllis Chemutai, said nutrition is important at every stage of growth and development, particularly among school-going children.
There is a school feeding program which is ongoing now by World Food Program, and this is specifically to the Karamoja region. The Karamoja schools are receiving food, and this food is specifically posho and beans. So we may still need to add more things.
Chemtai stressed the need for government to strengthen programs that provide children with nutritious meals at school, saying hungry and poorly nourished children may struggle to concentrate and perform well academically. Meanwhile, Damali Sali, country director of the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition Gain, called on stakeholders to pay attention not only to the quality of food produced, but also its nutritional value.
As the food processors, the manufacturers, the retailers, the restaurants are all private enterprises that influence what food is produced, what food is processed, what food is marketed, what food is priced, and therefore what food is actually consumed.
The stakeholders say passing the Food and Nutrition Bill would provide a stronger framework for addressing malnutrition and ensuring that nutrition remains central to Uganda's development agenda. Irene Faith Nantongo, Joseph Muingo, UBC News.
The Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, has officially opened a high-level meeting of the Committee of Chiefs of Defense and Security of East African Standby Force at the Sheraton Hotel in Kampala. The meeting brings together military chiefs from the region to discuss and coordinate efforts aimed at enhancing regional security and stabilization.
Grace Asisa, Minister of State for Defense and
Defense chiefs and security from across Eastern Africa are in Kampala for high-level meeting of the Eastern Africa Standby Force ordinary meeting. High-level meeting of the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Forces forms part of the policy organs meetings that are conducted regularly to provide guidance for executing the affairs of the Eastern Africa Standby Force.
We have strengthened engagement with member states through courtesy visits and strategic consultations. We have undertaken verification of pledged military, police, and air capabilities to ensure that our standby forces remain credible, agile, and deployable. We have advanced the humanitarian assistance and natural disaster support framework and continued developing the Combined Air Operations Manual.
The Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, opened the session at Sheraton Kampala, calling for stronger coordination to address emerging threats.
Displacement of people and climate pressures continue to stretch the capacities of our defense forces. In such an environment, preparedness is no longer measured by numbers alone. It is measured by agility, interoperability, foresight, and the ability to respond decisively under uncertain circumstances. For that reason, the readiness of our standby force must be sustained through continuous planning, regular training, and constant adaptation. The ongoing transition to the African Union Support and Stabilization Mission in Somalia, AWSOM, is a clear reminder that our region must remain ready for change.
In his opening remarks, General Muhoozi reaffirmed the responsibility of the Chiefs of Defense Forces to strengthen the Eastern Africa Standby Force to deliver the rightful impact in the right time as they continue to work towards a peaceful and stable Eastern Africa.
The Eastern Africa Standby Force has matured into a respected component of the African Standby Force. Our task now is to ensure that it remains relevant, resilient, and ready in an increasingly complex strategic environment.
The Minister of State for Defense, Honorable Grace Akifeza Ngabirano, who was the guest of honor, reaffirmed Uganda's commitment to deploy its forces in regional missions.
The role of the military leadership continues to evolve. Today's Chiefs of Defense are not only commanders of national armed forces. You are strategic advisors of your governments. You are custodians of national resilience. You are builders of regional confidence. Events unfolding in one part of our region can rapidly influence political, economic and humanitarian conditions elsewhere.
The CDF's meeting will deliberate on regional security priorities and strategic planning documents. Its outcomes will be submitted to the East Africa Standby Force Council of Ministers session tomorrow. Haruna Mtesasira, UBC News.
Thank you so much, Haruna Mtesasira. Parliamentary Committee on Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises, COSASE, has conducted a physical site visit to National Drug Authority to inspect assets utilization and laboratory facilities. The visit follows concerns raised in the Auditor General's report for the financial year ended 30th June 2025 that indicated 8 of the 12 floors in the specialized headquarters building remained unoccupied. Take a look.
That were designed and meant to operate as laboratories, especially for herbal medicine, were being used as storage or not used at all. And then floors which are not used for the designed purpose, you must explain to us what arrangements are being done to ensure that they return to purpose, and if there is a total change as to whether you have done and concluded all technical processes so required for change of user, if any.
As we talk now, this financial year, we have the resources for taking the air handling up. It's high technical, and of course, we are starting with the process.
In more stories, the housing sector in Uganda has decried a number of challenges, including inadequate funding, which officials say is contributing to Uganda's growing housing deficit of over 2.4 million, while informal settlements continue to expand, particularly in urban areas. The State Minister for Housing, Pacis Namuganza, says that prominent civil servants, including the Vice President, Prime Minister, DPP and other lack designated official residences, a thing that needs to be addressed. Namuganza made the remarks while appearing before Parliament's Committee on Lands, Housing and Urban Development.
Appearing before the Lands Committee, State Minister for Housing Pacis Namuganza was accompanied by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Lands and technical officials from the Housing Department. Namuganza told the committee that the housing sector has for years operated without adequate funding, limiting its ability to effectively deliver on its mandate.
Lack of finances to the sector. Every year, in and out, we have zero budget. No money is allocated to the housing sector, despite of the needs of this sector. The institutional houses in this country have faded away. For example, the Vice President, High Excellency, so His Excellency the Vice President, is supposed to have a residential, official residential home. It's not there.
The minister also highlighted challenges facing the National Housing and Construction Company, including the dormant Libyan shareholding, which accounts for 49% of the company's partnership. According to the minister, the unresolved shareholding issue has continued to affect the operations of the institution.
Because of the dormant partner, the inactive partner, which is Libya, whom we had signed an agreement under PPP, that is public-private partnership. Because of the challenges they got as a country, they stopped injecting money. And now national housing has not been able to stand and finance its own development. But also, you cannot get another serious partner when we still have that string.
Members of the committee, led by Chairperson Edson Rugumayo, called for greater prioritization of the housing sector, arguing that adequate funding is critical to addressing several challenges affecting Ugandans.
The housing sector is dead in Uganda, and yet we have enormous housing challenges. We have a 2.4 million housing deficit. This morning before the meeting alone, I had an interaction with delegation from Morocco, and they confidently stated that in their country there is zero housing deficit, and yet in Uganda is 2.4 million. That requiring us to provide at least 300,000 housing units every year for us to be able to solve the housing problem.
The committee also raised concern over the continued growth of informal settlements, including Kosovo and Chiwunya, as well as the high taxes imposed on building materials.
Uganda is almost developing as one slum. So that is why, as a committee, we have committed ourselves to support the sector. We want to call upon all stakeholders in government to support the housing sector.
To have all their energies directed on this sector so that we revive this sector and build the social houses. They are ones which are affordable and do slum upgrade.
The National Housing and Construction Company told the committee that it requires about 500 billion shillings annually to increase the supply of decent housing for Ugandans.
We can desire to have cheap housing, even if each house is 30 million and you want to build 1 million houses, you will still need about 3 trillion shillings. So chair the budget. We propose an annual budget allocation of Uganda shillings 500 billion per year for at least 5 years.
Despite the challenges, the housing sector registered several achievements in the 2025-2026 financial year. These include the finalization of the Draft Real Estate Bill 2026 and the commencement of amendments to the Architects Registration Act, CAP 297, among other interventions. Rebecca Natongo, Gloria Gutabinji, Parliament.
In more news tonight, government has committed 3.7 billion shillings through the National Council of Sports towards the year's Rwenzori Marathon in Kasese. Presenting before Parliament, Minister of State for Sports Peter Ogwang said that the contribution will principally support the event's prize purse, aimed at attracting and rewarding a strong competitive. The marathon, also scheduled for August 22nd, is expected to attract participants from close to 45 countries. Ogwang says the government investment is not only about the race but also about the wider economic value of the event. The marathon is also expected to promote tourism in the Rwenzori region, create markets for local businesses, and provide a platform for Ugandan products and entertainment. Last year, the event attracted 18,000 visitors from 36 countries and 6,000 runners. Government also sees the marathon as an avenue for identifying and nurturing young athletic talents in a region with a strong history in long-distance running.
The scale of this year's event, the support government has extended, and the wider value we expect it to return. It is a platform for talent identification, a showcase for our tourism, an opportunity for enterprise in Rwenzori region and beyond. I therefore wish to place before this House the scale of this year's event, the support government has extended, and the wider value we expect it to return to the country. Right, Honourable Speaker, the Rwenzori Marathon now commands a considerable international attention. It's projected that more than 10 million people around the world will follow this year's edition. And I think we need to clap for that, because having a viewership of 10 million people is not easy. Last year, the event attracted 18,000 visitors from 36 countries, 6,000 runners, of whom 67% were male and 33% were female, of whom 21% came from outside Uganda. This year, the organizers expect to host a number of distinguished guests, among them the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament of Kenya, and I'm pleased to report that our own, the Right Honourable Thomas Taebwa, will be present and presiding over the same event. Right Honourable Speaker, government through the National Council of Sports has contributed 3,700,000,000 shillings toward this year's event. This contribution is directed principally to the prize for participants, which will be central to attracting and rewarding competitive fields. What began as a local initiative has become a calendared international event, giving Uganda a further platform on which to present the beauty, the talent, the hospitality, and the investment potential of our country.
The Ministry of Works and Transport, in partnership with Traffic Police, has conducted an operation against violations of traffic regulations targeting dump trucks, lorries and buses, a story that we'll later on have in our bulletin. But for now, the local council leaders from Mitoma district have demanded for the creation of a new district out of Mitoma. They want the new district to be called Bitereko District. Their demand is contained in a document that was submitted to the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabbanja, this afternoon at her office in Kampala.
This afternoon, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabbanja, hosted local council leaders from Mitoma district, who included district councillors, sub-county chairpersons, among others. In a memorandum presented by the district speaker, John Tips Kanyamuhanga, they want government to create a new district out of Mitoma called Bitereko District.
Right, Honourable Minister, we are alive to the fact that there was a ban, these new administrative units, but it's our prayer that if something can be done so that that ban is lifted.
This, according to Mitoma leaders, will bring more services closer to the people.
It's our prayer that once this is looked into, it will improve public health, sanitation, agricultural productivity, and household welfare. We have a sub-county in Mitoma called Nyachizinga. It does not have even a single pole of electricity, and it is a great challenge in our district.
However, the Prime Minister reminded them about the moratorium on the creation of new administrative units by the President.
You are aware. Muzei, Tororo yali eyiseewo. I felt Tororo had gone. Tororo. Kagenda okulaba muzei abantu bwe bagamba Tororo ab'Emitoma ne mutandika. Ab'Ekakumiro ne bayingirawo. Muzei yagira ati nkubibaasa. Let's keep at where we are.
The first priority is tamaking of Mitoma Rukonjere Road. Right, Honourable Prime Minister, the second priority is tamaking of Chitagata Kaira Rukonjere Road.
Nabbanja says Ugandans can still get services without creating new districts.
As long as people can get the water, they can get schools, they can get the roads, they can get electricity. The districts, yes, we can have more members of parliament, the LOC5s, and many others, but sometimes the districts are becoming a problem to government. They are adding a lot of administrative costs. So the districts, there is a halt to create new administrative units, even the parishes, even the villages. Ateze Kastala Gira, I have put you down here, Bitereko District. Akachansi bwe kabaayo sisobola balyaza. Yato jisawa nga speaker ali wali. Endala jisawa muli buswaida. You are in every position in cabinet, you are there. In parliament you on top. Now, tewali bwe tuiza kuba mu district bwe banga obudde butuuse.
They commended the Prime Minister for being a dedicated servant to all Ugandans.
We have already seen you on TVs, television stations. We have always met you somewhere, and I must tell you, Right Honourable Prime Minister, that we are very much happy of you and proud of you.
Officials of the former Uganda National Roads Authority have been faulted for claiming to have spent 5.7 billion shillings on the tolling system being used on the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway, yet the system lacks the required capacity to establish vehicle speeds and gather data necessary for toll operations. Officials from the Ministry of Works and Transport and former UNRWA staff appeared before the Committee on Physical Infrastructure to explain the 122 billion shillings contract awarded to Aegis and the additional 36 billion shillings now allocated to Pinnacle for the extension of the contract.
The former executive director of the defunct Uganda National Roads Authority, Sharon Kyomugisha, former Minister for Works and Transport, General Katumba Wamala, and other former UNRWA staff and Ministry of Works engineers have appeared before the Committee on Physical Infrastructure to give their input on the 122 billion shillings contract awarded to Aegis, a French company, for the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway.
So for me, I support the local company, and if there are issues which needs to be corrected to enable the local company to replace Aegis, which is a French company, I would be home and dry to have a local company running the contract. Of course, there's need to improve on the technology.
Former UNRWA ED Sharon Kyomugisha told the committee that the contract had several problems. They started noticing gaps, including the failure to install a weigh-in motion scale, emphasizing that Aegis appeared incompetent in its operations with systematic and system-related issues.
We were supposed to come on with timelines. We began to notice that there was slippage, that the independent traffic monitoring system, the ITMS, which was supposed to come in, I think 6 months, was not coming on board. The weigh-in motion was not coming on board. There was a challenge with the data that they were giving us when we were doing reconciliation, and we were seeing gaps in the reconciliation.
The committee asked officials why they did not terminate the contract despite such gaps, including Aegis having a system that was not open source.
Are you comfortable for 5 years collecting monies in Kavera? Then you ask the operator, how much did you raise? They tell you 40 billion, you clap.
I don't know if we left, after we left, whether they gave us the source code as government or not. But as far as I can remember, by the time we left, they were still resistant. Protocols you go through before you terminate. One of which was you give notices. You give notices, you give notice to correct. You have the liberty even to withhold payment. That is why, Honorable Chair, we removed the money for the way bridges because they were not complying.
3 key fundamental deliverables that were making termination a possibility. And this one was the source code, ownership of the source code. Because as far as the contract was concerned, the source code should have been owned by Uganda. That's what we were paying for under the contract. And the
disputes, most especially when it comes to things of source code. Source code is ownership. You're pretty much giving away what you have. But we still even agreed to say, yes, the ministry employer, we shall give you access to the source codes.
The chairperson of the committee, Mwene Mpaka, tasked engineers with explaining the difference between the tolling system on the Entebbe Expressway and POS system used in supermarkets.
The system, it cannot classify the vehicle. The vehicle is done manually. Vehicle speeds cannot be established. Are you going to inform this committee that can convince us that this is not the POS exit system like the one in the supermarket, the one they are using? 2, the tolling system you told us costs 5 billion. The committee has tried to purchase this system. It costs 5 billion, actually costs $6,044.
We could not do this work as Minister of Works because the ministry, which was UNRWA by then, did not have a tolling system. That which can be confirmed from the records, I think is in the range of about 5 billion.
Where did you derive this figure?
Officials explained that Aegis was awarded the contract on the basis that domestic firms lacked the required capacity. However, Aegis subcontracted to local firms, Pinnacle Security Limited and Abu Baker Technical Services. Another issue was the non-compliance with the requirements to install a weigh-in motion scale. Ivan Katamba, the road manager Pinnacle Security, told the committee that installing one on the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway was not practical. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gwitabenji at Parliament.
that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando, like a daily bando, like a daily bando. Omuliro nguwulira muli mu mutima kukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata, enendungu ya kusabula. Mikono juu, free of fire, free of fire, free of
fire. It starts here, before she can read and spell her own name. Every empty room is a question. Not what will they know, but what will they be able to do? A curriculum is the answer. A skill at a time. The creative, the builder, the developer whose work crosses borders. A skill learned here should work anywhere in the world. Get the curriculum right and a whole nation rises.
My name is Bernadette Nambika-Ruhanga. I'm the director of the National Curriculum Development Center. I'm inviting you all to the second International Curriculum Conference that is due to take place on the 20th and 21st of August 2026 at Speak Resort Mnyonyo, where we are going to reimagine curriculum. And we shall be discussing matters related to a globalized future in as far as curriculum is concerned.
We don't need anyone's permission to move forward. What we need is the power to do it our way. Spiro is not your typical EV company. It's the power grid for African ambition. A network that connects Nairobi to Kigali, Lagos to Lomé, Dar to Kampala. Not with cables and wires, but with clean, quiet, relentless movement. This is Africa, powered by us.
What if accessing government services became easier, faster, and closer to you? Introducing Service Uganda Centers, a new initiative designed to bring key government services closer to the people under one convenient location. Less movement from office to office, less unnecessary travel, better access to services and information. At the Service Uganda Centers, citizens will be able to access national ID services, passport processing, business registration, land and revenue services, and more, all in one convenient location. Whether you are in the city or a country, Service Uganda Centers are being designed with you in mind. Enjoy faster service, professional guidance, and a seamless customer experience. This is an initiative of the Government of Uganda, digitally powered by the National Information Technology Authority Uganda, NITA, under the Uganda Digital Acceleration Project Government Network. Service Uganda Centers, bringing services closer to the people.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon Kyomugisha, and Namiyomba Dorothy on Sign Language. In News Tonight, Parliament has questioned the government priority areas on electricity distribution despite implementing various projects. This follows a statement by the Minister of State for Energy, Okasai Sidronius, on the progress of the rural electrification projects after the rationalization of the Rural Electrification Agency, which the members of Parliament found wanting. According to Minister Okasai, the progress has been slow due to budgetary constraints. He says several invoices for works completed remained outstanding due to inadequate budget, as you're about to watch.
The Minister of State for Energy, Okasai Sidronas Opolot, has updated Parliament on the progress of the rural electrification projects after the rationalization process.
Rural electrification project funded by Government of Uganda, packaged in 7 lots. The project is funded entirely by the Government of Uganda and is being implemented under 7 lots with a total contract value of 145 billion, covering various districts across the country.
It was designed as a successor to Government of Uganda 8-lot project and the 4-lot projects inherited from REA.
Blaming inadequate funds has remained the order of the day. Minister Okasai reiterates that several contractors are demanding resources to complete various projects.
Although the ministry made advance payments to contractors amounting to approximately 30 billion, several invoices for works completed remain outstanding due to inadequate budget provisions and releases.
Despite months into the financial year budget implementation, the legislators think that the minister's claim about the budget constraints is a scapegoat.
And the minister has rightly put it that they inherited 321 billion from REA, but REA had planned that money to complete 11 lines, but for them they only completed 6.
On the level of production itself, there are some areas that we need power to enhance production. But as long as power is not there, we can't really do much.
In the statement, the minister also claims that 2 contractors faced COVID-19 related challenges and could not continue. Efforts to replace them are ongoing.
Now, the schools and the hospitals in Yumbe are connected to power. Now, the argument they gave for leaving Koboko alone is that Yumbe is a refugee hosting district. And yet we have refugees in Loble. A number of sub-counties in Loble have also refugees. We have Uponyura, Ajipala, Tokaleri. These are parishes that are also hosting refugees. Now, all our health facilities and our schools in those parishes are not connected to the power.
So we need to phase off this development, this constructions within the specified period of time and have it completed as expected. And we equally cry at the government to have equal distribution and equal development intentionally to ensure that we also have our citizens enjoying the government and also empowering people to enter into the money economy.
About the US dollars 100 million loan for the Uganda Rural Electrification Access Project, the House was informed that the loan closed and 6 out of 11 power lines that were ongoing at the time of mainstreaming REA have since been completed and commissioned. However, the project closed without paying about half of the project-affected persons due to a budget shortfall of Uganda shillings 28.5 billion.
Why do you, government, start a project in the middle of the project? You abandon it and you put it to waste. For instance, in terms of connecting the country to the national grid.
To address some of the challenges, the ministry is considering to secure loans and cater for the counterpart funding for the project-affected persons. Also plans to revive the 5% levy to support the financing of the rural electrification program, as was the case before mainstreaming REA. Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
The fight against alcohol abuse in Uganda is taking a new turn, with the Uganda Alcohol Policy Alliance now pushing for a fresh law to regulate the production, sale, advertising and consumption of alcohol. This follows a government directive ordering bars, malwa joints and other alcohol selling establishments to remain closed until 3 p.m. on working days. The Health Ministry says that it supports the move and is ready to back efforts to return alcohol control legislation to Parliament.
In 2023, Dr. Roman Impisalo Pendi introduced the Alcohol Control Bill, which sought to regulate alcohol sales, manufacturing, and advertising, prohibit the sale of alcohol to persons under 18, amend the Industrial Licensing Act Cap 91, to repeal the Portable Spirits Act Cap 97. However, the Parliament rejected the bill. In a letter dated August 10, 2026, the Minister for Local Government, Balambaro Gahare, directed local authorities to ensure that bars, mara joints, and other alcohol selling establishments remain closed until 3 p.m. on working days. The directive also seeks to curb early morning alcohol consumption, which the Minister says is affecting productivity and community service delivery. Dr. Chris Obaliomos has applauded the local government minister directive, saying the Ministry of Health is prepared to support renewed efforts to bring an alcohol control law back before Parliament for review and possible amendments.
Wise in this case, given the importance and the need for this law, that we can push it as a private member's bill. You push it, and then you are assured of the support of the Minister of Health.
Members of the Uganda Alcohol Policy Alliance, under their engagement with the Ministry of Health, are calling for stronger measures to regulate alcohol availability, marketing and consumption.
Have a minister who has been bold enough to say that we need action in Uganda to protect Ugandans against alcohol harm. And we need more of such persons to know that health is important, life is important. It is a healthy Ugandan who will be able to contribute positively to the development of the nation.
The Uganda Alcohol Policy Alliance is also pushing for action. It says it is working towards developing a comprehensive alcohol control proposal that can be taken to Parliament.
When he gives us such a directive, it becomes our responsibility, all of us as Ugandans, to ensure that this directive is implemented.
For the Alliance, the argument is not simply about closing bars early. It says Uganda needs a clear legal framework that addresses the entire alcohol chain from production and advertising to sale and consumption.
Biggest of its kind in Uganda, encompassing 75 plus organizations, civil societies and individuals. Of course, our role is to look at policy, regulation, and then...
As stakeholders prepare to put their proposals before Parliament, the question now is whether lawmakers will give Uganda's alcohol control debate another chance. Susan Nabugude, Michael Bakawlindi for UBC.
The parent is Tuliahemwa Dixon. And the child is Tuliahemwa Esther.
Kambera gwete Kyomugisha ngo ishe watujyahemwa Esther wahangura school fees ngene na hateja shana amashemerwa gonka MTN momo eberewo mbeni nyegasta igana kaga ni 5 sta munana 0 hash kushashura mwana school fees tokoma nyo mucheri zagwije wanje ninga nchaka ngwasa kuzo wawe mwebare munonga.
Every life begins in a moment like this. Certain, planned, full of promise. For us, it's a bold ambition to make lives better. Because somewhere, someone is stepping into a world of work for the first time with the confidence that their retirement is taken care of. We make dreams possible. From owning homes to scaling businesses. And when health takes an unexpected turn, help is there when it's needed most. And because legacies matter, what people build does not end with them. It's passed on. We value moments with go-getters, bold dreamers and believers. Different paths, different rhythms, with one shared belief that financial freedom is within reach. For 40 years, we've made lives better and fueled Uganda's economy. Through careful investment, we have supported businesses, created jobs, and backed our nation. To us, it's more than saving. It's believing in effort, in patience, in possibility. It's making lives better. We believe in you, in us, and in Uganda.
NSSF, 40 years of making lives better.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight, and from the business desk, the Bank of Uganda has maintained the central bank rate at 9.75% for August 2026, while projecting robust economic growth in the 2026-2027 financial year. The growth outlook is supported by prudent monetary and fiscal policies, strong remittance inflows, increased investment, and higher exports, with oil production expected to provide an additional boost to economic activity.
The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Uganda has maintained the central bank rate at 9.75%. According to the Governor, Michael Ating-Ego, the decision is aimed at preserving price stability while allowing the bank time to assess global developments and their potential implications for the inflation outlook.
The CBR band is maintained at plus and minus 2 percentage points, while the rate discount and the bank rate remain at 3 and 4 percentage points above the CBR, respectively, resulting into a rate discount rate of 12.75% and a bank rate of 13.75%.
Although exchange rate pressures have also eased, with the Ugandan shilling stabilizing after depreciating earlier in the year. However, the bank says the inflation outlook remains tilted to the upside, with global and domestic risks continuing to require close monitoring.
Of course, there are risks to this outlook, and they broadly remain tilted to the upside, including prolonged inflationary surges, which would promote major central banks to raise interest rates, thereby increasing depreciation pressures on the shilling due to capital flight to safety. Also, we have escalating geopolitical tensions, which could disrupt global supply chains, push up international oil prices, and raise domestic energy and transport costs.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Uganda projects economic growth of between 7 and 8% in the 2026-2027 financial year. Governor Michael Ating-Ego highlights the key factors underpinning the positive growth outlook.
Growth is projected to accelerate to between 7 and 7.5% in the financial year 2026/27 and around 8% over the medium term. This projected growth is supported by prudent monetary and fiscal policies, remittances inflows, higher investment and exports boosted by the oncoming oil production. In addition, the continued implementation of the government's tenfold growth strategy is expected to accelerate growth in the strategic sectors and promote exports through value addition and increased agricultural production.
The Bank of Uganda says it remains committed to promoting price stability in support of Uganda's social and economic transformation, and emphasizes that future monetary policy decisions will remain firmly data dependent, guided by the evolving economic outlook and the balance of risks. Dennis Igoa for UBC.
Government of Uganda has significantly bolstered the financial mass of the Uganda Development Bank, increasing its authorized share capital from 2 trillion Ugandan shillings to 5 trillion. The announcement was made by Henry Musasizi, the Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, during the bank's annual general meeting for the financial year ending July 2025, held at the ministry's headquarters.
Minister Musasizi revealed that despite delays caused by the 2026 general elections and government transition, the bank's performance has been exceptional. To further strengthen the institution, government has authorized the board to retain 63 billion shillings from its 2025 profit after tax to serve as additional capital.
And this 63 billion is coming from their profit. We have authorized the board to retain what we call retained earnings, to retain the profit after tax they made in 2025 as additional capital.
Currently, UDB lends at 12%, but the minister emphasized that as the capital base grows, government expects interest rates to drop further to support manufacturing, agro-industrialization, tourism, science and innovation.
And also we have approved the proposal to increase the capital, authorized share capital from now 2 trillion to 5 trillion, meaning that we have approved an additional authorized capital of 3 trillion shillings. The strength of the bank is measured in the capital base. So we want a strong bank which is able to provide cheap credit.
The managing director of UDB highlighted the bank's operational efficiency and its direct impact on Ugandan livelihoods.
Number of job, you talk about tracking, the number that we've reported in this annual report, 69,000 jobs, is actual jobs that we went back to check, to confirm, to evaluate, and we can confirm that the jobs are there.
Despite the ambitious lending, UDB has maintained high asset quality. The bank's non-performing loan ratio remains well with a healthy range of under 7% at 6.7%, attributing this to robust collection mechanisms and strong stakeholder confidence. Wadulo Arnold Mark for UBC News.
We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with sports news.
In Uganda, mornings don't begin with sunrise. They begin with courage. One man, one factory that has refused to stay silent. With one spark of courage, a chain of prosperity begins. When one Ugandan stands up, the nation moves. Pearl Bank. Grow. Prosper.
Alo.
Ese mwami mukasa.
Mutyaneyo.
Yono broka.
Yenze broka wa mayumba.
Bangambye ne nyumba za mwenunjiko.
Kituufu. Oyagala bisenge bimeka?
Nga bisatu.
Ebbeeyi bagigambye?
Bangambye saa 5.
Nedda ssebo eno zaali nnyamuuko.
Lwaki?
Anti langi gye tusiigisa ya mulembe. Kati ne valiyo ekitundu yalinnya.
Musiigisa ki?
Global Paints.
Mutya.
Ku siiringi tukozesa Global Mat. Ate munda ne tukozesa Global Silk Vinyl.
Singa kwetaga wabweru.
Wabweru tukozesa Global Weather Coat Emulsion.
Kusiiga gye musiiga. Ogwo omutindo ogusasulira essente zonna.
Guli wumite.
Global Paint, a reliable product.
Welcome to the last segment of today's news at 8 p.m. where the Uganda Olympic Committee has flagged off a team of 5 young Ugandans and 2 officials to represent the country at the second edition of the Sharing Olympism Forum in Maseru, Lesotho. We have a detailed report.
The forum, scheduled to start later today till 16th August 2026, brings together young people and sports leaders from across Africa to exchange ideas, experiences and strategies for advancing Olympism. Speaking at the flag-off ceremony, Uganda Olympic Committee President Dr. Donald Rukare urged the young representatives to maintain discipline, uphold the values of Olympism, and use the opportunity to make lasting friendships with fellow participants from across Africa.
This is part of our agenda because at Olympic Committee we don't only do promoting Olympic Games and the Games, but also promoting Olympism. So having these activities that promote Olympism is one way of spreading the tenets of friendship, excellence and respect amongst the young people.
The team is expected to use the forum to showcase Uganda's youth talents while gaining knowledge and experiences that can contribute to the development of sport and the Olympic values in the country. Chitungu, Claire Nyapindi of Seloma Christian High School in Mukono, Melvin Tayebwa of Kaboja International School, Trevor Mutegichi of Baptist High School, and Peace Nyafono of Nabisunsa Girls School.
I expect to come out more confident and to improve my debate skills.
To go into this tournament and actually win something and come back not the way I went.
You're going to come back when you're well equipped with oratory skills so that we can change our nation, Uganda.
And I have nothing else in my mind but bringing the trophy home.
What I expect from this is to come out better and bigger than I am already.
The 5 students will participate in a range of activities including quiz, essay writing, debate, public speaking, and poetry speaking. The delegation traveled to Maseru, where Uganda will join other African nations in celebrating and promoting the ideals of Olympism among young people.
In more stories, former Uganda Cranes captain Andy Mwesigwa has appealed to government and other stakeholders to intervene in a financial dispute threatening the future of his Andy Mwesigwa High School in Bugwanya, Kachiri and Wakiso district.
Mwesigwa made the appeal during a press briefing at Jevine Hotel in Indeba, saying the school, which he built using earnings from his football career, is at risk of being sold over a disputed loan. He says he initially secured a 380 million shilling loan from Equity Bank, which was later taken over by ABC Bank and increased by another 100 million shillings.
That is ABC Capital Bank, through its agents, approached me because actually they went through a friend of mine, approached me and they said they would love to do business with me as well at a very good rate. That they will give me business at a very good rate. So we went ahead and we entered into an understanding, gotten a facility that was a top-up on the 380. A top-up was of 100 million, which we received, and it mounted to 480. So that was the loan that I gotten from ABC Bank.
According to Mwesigwa, the school, which officially opened in 2018, was affected by COVID, but paid 230 million shillings after reopening in 2023, followed by another 40 million Uganda shillings. However, he says the outstanding amount has now risen to about 1 billion shillings due to disputed interest calculations. Mwesigwa also claims the bank issued a notice indicating an interest rate of 30% per month, compared to the initial rate of 23% per annum.
A write-off means that you are a bad debtor, meaning that you cannot go anywhere and borrow. So that went on my CRB, and I condemn it so much. Why? Because I had cleared all the areas, meaning that the loan was going to start operating normally, because it was abnormal because of the lockdown. The loan could not perform.
He says the dispute has already affected the school, with students leaving the institution after it was advertised for sale. Mwesigwa is now appealing to President Yoweri Museveni, the Education and Sports Ministry and other stakeholders to help find an affordable solution and save Amesco, which he describes as his long life legacy.
And that's all we had for you during this hour. For more news coming your way, do join me later on at 10 p.m. For more news, my name is Sharon Kyomugisha with Namyombo Dorothy on Sign Language. Bye-bye.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The Uganda People's Defense Forces invites you to the second edition of the UPDF CDF Inter-Forces Drill Competition. Join us on Tuesday, 25th August 2026 at the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds for an electrifying showcase of precision drill, synchronized formations, discipline, and military excellence. Under the theme Precision, Discipline, and Cohesion, Pillars of National Resilience and Transformation. Witness UPDF formations battle for the coveted Inter-Forces Drill Championship. Who will take the crown? Will it be the Land Forces, Air Force, Special Forces Command, Field Artillery, Motorized Infantry, Marines Brigade, Directorate of Women Affairs, Military Police, or one of the 1st to 5th Divisions? The event will be presided over by the Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. For more information, call 0392 947